Let's dive right into this explainer covering what has to be one of the most unbelievable, heart-pounding finishes of the 2026 World Cup round of 32. We're looking at match 73 out at SoFi Stadium. This was an absolute thriller, where tournament co-host Canada went up against South Africa, and you guys, this game literally came down to the final ticking seconds.
To really get a sense of this, I need to set the stage for you. If you are watching, you already know exactly what it felt like. This match was a literal pressure cooker, just waiting to snap. Just imagine over 65,000 fans packed into that stadium in Inglewood, California, enduring 91 agonizing, grueling minutes of completely goalless frustration. The tension was ratcheting up with every single pass, only to be followed by one flash of pure, absolute magic that basically blew the roof off the place. Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this matchup is that the historical weight sitting on the shoulders of both these teams was exactly the same. The stakes were astronomical. Neither Canada nor South Africa had ever reached the knockout stage of a World Cup before this exact tournament. Crazy, right? Canada came in riding high, emerging as Group B runners-up after a massive 6-0 blowout against Qatar and a super tight loss to Switzerland. On the flip side, South Africa bounced back from an opening loss to Mexico to absolutely stun South Korea and lock down second place in Group A. So what did that all mean? It meant whoever walked off that pitch a winner was guaranteed to make the deepest World Cup run in their entire nation's history. No pressure at all.
All right, moving into Section 1, South Africa's defensive masterclass.
To actually understand that explosive ending, we really have to respect the intense tactical tension built up over those first 91 minutes. Look, this was not some wild back-and-forth offensive shootout, no way. It was heavily defined by a brilliantly disciplined game plan from South Africa. Their 74-year-old coach, Hugo Bruce, anchored this incredibly stubborn 5-4-1 system designed to just thoroughly frustrate Canada and drag the whole game all the way to extra time. And honestly, it was working perfectly. Moise Bombito had a super dangerous header cleared right off the line by Aubrey Madiba. Then you had Mbekazile Mbukazi making this jaw-dropping heroic challenge to deny Jonathan David a totally simple header on what was basically a wide-open goal. Add in goalkeeper Ronwen Williams acting like an absolute brick wall, saving a great shot from Olusei. South Africa was so content to just kill the game's momentum that their defenders and keeper repeatedly just passed the ball back and forth. They played so conservatively that the crowd inside SoFi Stadium actually booed them twice within the first 30 minutes.
And you know, the numbers beautifully illustrate this exact tactical clash. If we look at expected goals, or XG, Canada sat at 1.32. Meanwhile, South Africa, a microscopic 0.13. To put that into perspective, South Africa spent almost the entire game barely even looking toward the net, opting instead to just absorb this immense wave of Canadian pressure. It was a massive high-risk gamble to frustrate Jesse Marsch's squad from minute one. As you can probably guess, this led to just agonizing frustration for Canada as halftime approached. Right before the break, Richie Laryea went down inside the penalty area after a pretty tough challenge from Kuliso Mudau. The whole stadium completely held its breath. A VAR review gets initiated, but the decision stands, no penalty. Canada had to head into the locker room absolutely furious, feeling like they'd just been robbed of their best opportunity to break the deadlock.
Which brings us to Section 2, the turning point and Davies returns. So the clock is ticking deep into the second half, extra time is looming, and the frustration is just hitting its absolute peak. Jesse Marsch knows it's time for a momentum shift, and he makes a substitution that completely flips the script. Alphonso Davies, easily Canada's biggest star, had been sidelined with an injury for the entire group stage. He finally gets his very first minutes of the tournament midway through the second half, and wow, his impact is instant. The really crucial takeaway here is how the Bayern Munich star immediately changed the entire geometry of the pitch just by stepping onto the grass. He injects this massive wave of quality, and within minutes, he naturally draws a pair of defenders right to him. By pulling those guys totally out of position, he suddenly creates all this vital space in the penalty area that Canada had been desperately searching for all game.
And that perfectly sets up Section 3, the 92nd minute climax.
Okay, so the 90-minute mark hits. The scoreboard still says 0-0. Extra time feels totally inevitable at this point. But then, all of that built-up, agonizing tension finally spectacularly breaks. Let's break down the sheer poetry of this game-winning goal step by step, because it really deserves that cinematic slow-motion treatment. Step 1. Canada is pressing, and Alistair Johnston sends this hopeful cross right into the box from the right side. Step 2. A South African defender rises up and gets his head on it to clear it, but he only manages to push it as far as the edge of the penalty area. Step 3. Enter Steven Eustaquio. The LAFC midfielder is just waiting right there. He doesn't panic at all. He so calmly chests the ball down, lets it drop for just a fraction of a second, and then he rifles this absolutely perfect right-footed half volley straight into the bottom far corner, finally beating Ronwin Williams.
92. That is the number that is going to be permanently etched into the memory of every single fan who was watching. It was the 92nd minute, literally the second minute of stoppage time, when that ball found the back of the net. SoFi Stadium just completely erupted. We are talking instant tears, massive hugs, and an absolutely deafening roar echoing through Inglewood as the entire Canadian bench rushed the field.
Which leads us to Section 4, Heroes, Speeches, and Farewells.
Because, the magic of the World Cup doesn't just stop when the referee blows the final whistle. Right after the match, transitioning from that raw, crazy celebration to the incredibly emotional fallout, Coach Jesse Marsch called all his players into a circle right there on the pitch. And he delivered a speech that is for sure going to go down in Canadian soccer history. I really want this powerful quote to just sit with you for a second. He looked at his guys and told them, "You guys showing your character, you guys are Canadian heroes now. Canadian heroes, for the future children of this country." Players were literally in tears. Alphonso Davies came over and joined the circle. It just beautifully conveys how this victory was so much bigger than just a sport. It became this huge defining moment of pride for an entire country.
But as much as we are celebrating Canada, we absolutely must take a moment to impartially commend South Africa. They made such a remarkably brave, dignified exit from the tournament today. Coach Hugo Bruce said afterward that he was deeply, deeply proud of his players, calling it a journey he'll never forget. And he completely should be. Let's not forget, this was their best ever World Cup campaign. From losing that opener to Mexico, to an emotional penalty against Czechia, to absolutely stunning South Korea, their world-class defensive effort today proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they belong on this global stage. It's the kind of run that's for sure going to inspire a whole new generation of fans back home.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Post-Match Tactical Analysis.
When we look back at the actual numbers that define this historic matchup, we have to spotlight the absolute engine for Canada tonight, Steven Eustaquio. I mean, not only did the LAFC midfielder score that unbelievable 92nd minute winner, which, by the way, was his 5th goal for Canada in a 60th national appearance, but just look at his overall impact. He created 5 chances from set pieces alone. Think about that. That actually ties him with the absolute legend Andrea Pirlo for the most set-piece chances created in a World Cup knockout game. Talk about elite company. He was literally the heartbeat of the Canadian squad for the entire 90-plus minutes.
So, where exactly does this leave us? Canada has officially secured their first ever knockout stage win, proving to the world that they are the real deal in this tournament. But, as we all know, the road only gets steeper from here. Coming up on July 4th over at Houston Stadium, they're going to face the winner of the Netherlands-Morocco clash in the round of 16. With the massive momentum of a 92nd minute winner, the triumphant return of Alphonso Davies, and what's sure to be a powerful home crowd advantage, can this momentum-fueled Canadian squad actually take down a giant? I'll let you ponder that one. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me, and make sure you enjoy the rest of the wild ride that is the 2026 World Cup.